the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello, I am Samia Mohammed with the news. South Africa successfully hosted the G20 summit, marking the first time the gathering was held on African soil. Posting this on social media platform, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said the country's G20 presidency has been guided by the belief that the world needs more solidarity, equality and sustainability at a time of growing geopolitical tension. Reflecting on South Africa's leadership of the group, Ramaphosa said some global actors have attempted to fuel division and polarization between nations, but Pretoria instead focused on strengthening cooperation. We have reinforced our shared humanity. We have fostered collaboration with goodwill, he said, adding that South Africa worked to ensure that collective priorities remained at the center of the G20 agenda. Above all, we have affirmed that our shared goals outweigh our differences, Ramaphosa noted, describing unity and equitable development as essential for addressing global challenges. The South Africa leader said the country's presidency aimed to build trust, advance inclusive growth, and push for reforms that support fair international system. The summit concluded with leaders adopting the G20 declaration outlining their commitments to inclusive global growth, climate action, and strengthened international cooperation. Kenya's President William Ruto has urged international partners to invest in Africa, emphasizing the need to shift from extractive to productive partnership. Speaking at the 7th African Union-European Union Summit in Luanda, Angola, Ruto said Africa aims to move from exporting raw materials to exporting innovation and finished products, creating jobs and opportunities for the continent's youth. Ruto highlighted Africa's efforts to deepen trade integration anchored in regional economic communities and the African Continental Free Trade Area, a single market of 1.4 billion people. He also called on the European Union to join Africa in advancing digital transformation, enhancing climate adaptation, and supporting fair and managed labor mobility. The summit brought together African and European leaders, including Angolan President João Lourenço, EU President Ursula von der Leyen, EU Commission Chairperson Mohamed Ali Yusuf, and EU Council President Antonio Costa. Delegates discussed ways to strengthen economic cooperation, sustainable development, and strategic partnership between the two continents. The AU and EU Summit has historically served as a platform to promote collaboration on trade, investment, security, climate action, and governance. This year's gathering comes as Africa seeks greater influence in global decision-making, access to financing for development, and partnerships that prioritize industrialization, innovation, and job creation. In the recent presidential election in Guinea-Bissau, both the incumbent President Omaro Sissoko Embalo and challenger Domingos Simões Pereira claimed victory amid allegations of voting irregularities. The election on November 24 saw significant turnout, but official results are still pending, creating tense atmosphere. International observers are calling for calm as the country navigates potential post-election challenges. Regional bodies such as ECOWAS and the African Union continue to support transparent and fair elections, fostering stability and reinforcing democratic norms in the country. This election represents an opportunity for new dialogue and unity as Guinea-Bissau strengthens its democratic institutions. Following the development of the National Roadmap for the Promotion of Responsible Business Conduct in Trade and Investment in October 2025, Lesotho has formally submitted the nomination of national tripartite focal points for the ILO M&E Declaration. The nominated focal points are drawn from the Association of Lesotho Employers and Business, the Ministry of Labour and Employment, and the country's major trade union federation, Lesotho Federation of Trade Unions, the Lesotho Labour Council, and the Lesotho Trade Union Congress. The tripartite appointed focal points representing government, employers, and workers will champion the M&E Declaration and promote its principles within their respective constituencies while coordinating efforts for dialogue, policy, coherence, and partnership. Lesotho will become the 21st country globally and the 5th in the SADC region to have officially nominated focal points for the promotion of the M&E Declaration. In first instance, the focal points will continue with advocacy and awareness-raising activities on the M&E Declaration and its principles, building momentum towards a high-level forum on decent work, responsible business conduct, trade and investment scheduled for late 2026. In addition, a technical working group led by the Ministry of Labour and Employment will be established to facilitate dialogue, coordination and collaboration among the focal points. Now to business news. Barrick Mining has agreed to a 244 billion CFA francs settlement with Mali, Bloomberg News reported on Tuesday, citing people familiar with the matter. The Canadian miner on Monday reached an agreement with the Mali's government to resolve all their disputes over the Lolo Gonkoto gold mining complex after 2 years of negotiations. Barrick said it will drop the arbitration case against Mali at the World Bank Dispute Tribunal, and in return, Mali will drop all charges against Barrick and its affiliates, release 4 employees from jail, and give operational control back to Barrick. Bloomberg News said Barrick is due to pay 144 billion CFA francs within 6 days of signing the agreement with Mali's government. Another 50 billion CFA francs will come via VAT credit offsets, while an installment of the same size was already paid last year, the report said. Barrick Mining did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment. The European Investment Bank is pledging more than 2 billion euros of financing for renewable energy projects on the African continent over the next 2 years. The project will include hydroelectric, solar and wind power plants, as well as the expansion and upgrading of transmission and distribution facilities, the bank said in a statement. They will be backed by guarantees from the European Commission. EIB Vice President Ambrose Fayole is expected to provide more detail about the pledge at the European Union-African Union Summit in Angola's capital Luanda later on Monday. Moving to sports news. Marrakech and Agadir will host 2 friendly matches for the Moroccan women's national soccer team in the coming days. The matches will be against Burkina Faso and South Africa, according to an announcement by the Royal Moroccan Soccer Federation. The first test will take place on November 28 in Marrakech against the Etalons Dames, followed by a second match on December 2 in Agadir against the South African champions. Those matches will give the Moroccan women a chance to refine their teamwork and gauge their level of preparation ahead ahead of the 2026 African Cup of Nations, which their country will host from March 17 to April 3rd. Thanks for joining us on Pulse of Africa News. Keep following us for more stories that matter across the continent. Goodbye.